Do you want to know how to crush your Pilates business's finances in just under a couple of hours every week? Well, I can show you how to do that when I share with you how I organize my business finances. And I do this by going through what I call a Pilates Business Finance Workflow. And I do this on a Friday. If we haven't met before, my name is Anita Horry. I'm second generation Pilates instructor, teacher trainer, business mentor, and Pilates entrepreneur. I hold retreats in my retreat center in Spain. I also coach Pilates teachers and wellness teachers to create the business life of their dreams with no hassle, no stress, no overwhelm, and to really live the life of their dreams. If you're excited about this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell to get notified every time I upload a video online. In this week's video, I want to share with you how I organize my finances. And you know just as much as I do, if you are in entrepreneurship, you know how important it is for you to understand your finances as a business owner and also how to take responsibility. It's really important to understand that taking responsibility over your finances and really being in charge over what's going in and out of your business is going to reflect on the longevity of your business and also on whether or not you're going to have enough to live and whether or not you're going to have a good personal and private life. So getting in charge of what's happening in your current business is going to be the absolute key for you to have the growth that you need and the life of your dreams. So the first thing that I do is that I look at my business expenses. If you have tried your way through entrepreneurship and whatever venture you've tried has failed, it's probably because you haven't looked at your costs. You haven't looked at what you're bringing in versus your costs, the stuff that you're having to pay for. Okay, so you're going to relate to this if you have been struggling to maybe pay your bills. You're not making enough money to pay your bills, and perhaps you don't even realize and you don't understand which bills are going to be your priority and which aren't. Now, this is a complete new discussion for another video, but what I can say to this right now for the purpose of this particular video is that I make it a crucial point to understand exactly what business expenses I have, and I really filter through them. And it's very easy for us just to keep mounting small costs on it. It could be simple things like having subscriptions that we have had for a number of years, maybe subscriptions to marketing, wellness programs, educational programs. You know, in our industry, we've got subscriptions to the two big sites, Pilatesology or Pilates Anytime. We also have the essential subscriptions, especially if we run online classes to a platform like Zoom. And there are many, like the scheduling subscriptions. There are many other subscriptions that are super important and essential for us to be able to run the business and run it efficiently. However, there might be some subscriptions that perhaps happen once a year. We get charged once a year or once every quarter, and we let them slip through the net, and we don't get to find out about them. Do you have yours recorded? Do you have any record of what your subscriptions are every month, every quarter, every 6 months, or every year? Now, as I mentioned in my previous videos, I am an ex-accountant, so I have access to my own program and for accountants, which is sage.com. Now, sage.com, I believe, is more geared for people who are have some accounting knowledge. But if you don't have an accounting knowledge, you can always try out an expense program called on mint.com. I don't get any kind of benefit from explaining or talking about any of these, but just to let you know that there are many other programs that you can go online and you can have access to manage your expenses. Now, you can do your own research online. Just do Google search, literally just expense tracker online, and perhaps you can get some free access to them. What you really need to start understanding about managing your business expenses and your personal expenses is that you're really going to be able to get a handle of what's going on in your life and how you're going to budget your life and your business properly. What am I trying to say? Once you have your business expenses mapped out, you are going to know what your break-even point is. Once you know what your break-even point is, and that is the amount of income that you need to be earning before you start making any profit, then you know you need to work X amount of hours. So if, for example, you know that every month you've got business expenses that come up, and there are crucial business expenses that come up for $2,000 every month, you know that your break-even point is going to be $2,000 in sales. If you don't make $2,000 in sales every month, you know that you're making a loss, and you know that you're actually running your business for nothing. There's no point of you continuing with your business. Now, I also know that as a Pilates teacher, there are going to be months where your turnover is going to be higher than others. Of course, I appreciate that. But it's super important, and to be profitable in your business and to really succeed in growing your business, you have to exceed your break-even point every single month, even in your quiet months. So of course, you might have just only started with your Pilates business, and you might find that you still have got some months in the year where you're not reaching your break-even point. Well, that's fine, but then in that case, what I would always recommend is to look at your expenses and see where you cut your expenses. This is where I look at my expenses every week, and this is why it's very important that I allocate my Fridays. I allocate just a couple of hours just to look at my expenses every week and see what expenses are crucial and what are not. Now, of course, I'm lucky not to be in that situation. Lucky, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but as a business owner who has been in business for the past 30 years, I know what expenses are crucial for the business and what expenses are going to be superfluous. I also now have my team of people who are in charge of my expenses, but because I've got the experience of the industry, I have my eyes on the ball all the time. So whenever I see something coming through and I look at my accounting records and I see something coming through that doesn't make sense, I reach out to my bookkeepers and my accountants regularly. I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later. Let me just go back to tracking my expenses. So tracking my expenses and categorizing my expenses is very important. Understanding the priority of each expense is also important, because that's going to help me map out my business budget for the following year, and my family budget for the following year. Now, talking about budgets reflect an estimate of what your income and your expenditure are going to be for a set period of time. So next year, like now we are in October. In October, it's very important to look at what you plan to earn next year. And I hope that you're not running your business off the fly and just hoping for the best. I hope that you are running budgets. Expenditure and expenses are a huge part of your budgeting program, right? So if you're looking to make $1 million next year, you need to make sure that you have X amount of sales, hopefully millions in sales, and X amount of expenditure, right? So then you'll be able to net that down to your $1 million in profit. Now, you really need to look at a family budget as well, because you have personal dreams, you have personal aspirations, and the whole reason why you are in business is because of that, because you want to have the lifestyle that you want. So how can you plan to have this amazing lifestyle without actually planning for your finances? So the second thing I do to help me achieve the lifestyle that I want is to pay off my credit cards. And this is, again, I tackle this on the Friday that I look at my administration and I look at my accounts. So I understand as an entrepreneur that to make money, you need to spend money. That's totally appreciated. And of course, especially if we're wanting to invest in capital equipment, and capital equipment would include assets, would include your Pilates equipment, it would include perhaps any software that you need to buy, your web design, your website, all that is needed for you to run a profitable business. But by looking at how I'm going to manage my expenditure, I'm already a step ahead of overwhelm. I'm already planned. Remember, planning gets rid of the headache and gets rid of the frustration and the overwhelm when you actually then receive your credit card bill and you're totally shocked at what you've just spent that month. So looking at my credit card expenses, I actually go through my credit card expenses and see what I can cut down. And if I know that I'm working to a budget, I know that I only have a set amount of investment I'm going to be putting through into courses, into assets, into capital equipment, whatever I plan to buy. Now, my situation is perhaps slightly different to yours right now because I now run a retreat center. I have a coaching program, so I have a lot of online expenditure that I need to get involved in. I also have I still have my own Pilates studio, and I have my brick and mortar studio. So I still have expenses that are relevant to my Pilates business. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that we all need to look at what expenditure is relevant to our business, what private expenditure we're running through on the credit card. And without realizing, we just go through stores and we're buying stuff that we know we can do without. So for us managing our money, we're going to help plan our life, plan our future, and create that lifestyle that we want. The other thing that I have done, and I don't do anymore, but I would have done if I had it, is managing my store cards. Now, I have taken this huge decision to completely move away from store cards. So I don't have any surprise expenses and surprise debts at the end of the month. And I just put everything to my credit card. And if I need to put any expenses for my business or my personal life, I have a specific credit card that goes on to them. Now, talking about credit cards, I have one credit card for my business and one credit card for my personal expenses. I don't mix the two together, and I do suggest that you do the same. Going back to the store cards, the more store cards you have, the less control you have over your expenses. All these stores get us to subscribe to them so that we can have benefits, we can have discount, but as much as I do that all this is just another marketing tool for them to attract you to spend more money in their store, right? So I would really steer away from taking up any more store cards and actually do as I have done, completely write off store cards and say no more. I'm not going to be taking up any more store cards, and I'll just keep my credit cards to pay with. And if you're clever enough, there are good credit cards nowadays that actually give you bonus points for spending money, and you can turn them into air miles, etc. But again, I'm not going to go into that detail. I just wanted you to go through the expenses and how to manage your expenses for every single week. The third thing I do, and it is extremely important for me to save some money every month, is to make sure that all my invoices are paid up on time. And the way that I do this is I set 2 days in my calendar every single month. So I have 2 days within the month, and as it happens, they're the 5th and the 21st. They're the 5th of the month and the 21st of the month, where I know if I have invoices that need to be paid, I make sure that some invoices are paid on one day and then some are paid on the other day. The reason why I do that is because I stagger my payments through the month. And in doing that, I make sure that I'm not whacked with a bunch of interest for late payment. And managing that helps me also create the plan of further expenses for the future, for future months, and for my budgets, as I've explained earlier. So if I know that I have got an invoice that I need to be paying every single month, it's going to be a monthly expense, and I know that I'm paying, say, on the 5th of the month, I know that next month I'm going to be doing the same. So it's going to help me plan. It's going to help me plan my operating expenses for the year. Now, if I have expenses that are extraordinary, like I've had this shocking leak in my property and I needed to pay a plumber to come and fix it, of course, that's an extraordinary expense. That doesn't need to be included in my budgets for next year. But nonetheless, what I need to be doing is putting in a figure, a sum, or maybe a percentage of my sales, and say, well, this is going to be for my extraordinary expenses, because you know what? Stuff happens. The fourth thing I do every single week is that I look at my stats. And my stats, so I've got a stats document, and the stats are the most important figures in my accounts. What are they? The most important figures are my sales. Okay, so I'll be with my team, I'll make sure that I track my sales, and the sales would be, for my business, it's going to be different for yours. But if you are a Pilates teacher and you've got a Pilates studio, the sales would include all your Pilates teaching, all the Pilates teaching income, maybe if you have sold any particular apparatus, if you have given online classes, so your sales from your online classes, sales from your home studio, or sales from the brick and mortar studio, apparatus sales, perhaps any other product sales that you've got, maybe you've got any other wellness, nutritional products, supplements, etc. that could be included in your turnover. Maybe you offer course sales and whatever, or any sales that you have done for that particular week, and look at it in comparison to the previous week or the previous month, that same week and the previous month. A good bookkeeper will be able to help you stay on track on that. And you don't need to be looking at the comparisons, but if you do look at the comparisons year to year, you'll know whether you're actually on the growth process. The other important figure for your finances is going to be your profit and loss statement. So your profit and loss statement is literally going to show whether you've had a profit for that period of time or whether you've made a loss. So the profit and loss statement is one piece of key information that any kind of investor needs if they're looking at your business. So if, for example, you want to go and get a loan for your business, you do need to show your profit and loss statement to the bank or to the credit facility. Even things like paying your taxes. Your taxes are calculated on the income that you make, on the profit rather that you make. So the profit and loss statement is a very important document that you need to understand. The other thing that I look at as part of the important stats for the business are, I've just explained it just a few seconds ago in the video, is looking at cutting credit card expenses. And nowadays there are many expenses that automatically go through the credit card, and with specific subscriptions or purchases or even auto renew payments that you haven't even realized, that perhaps you've contracted a month ago, or maybe you've contracted 6 months ago, and all of a sudden this thing is appearing in your credit card statement. That's why it's good for you just to track the expenses on the credit card and clean it out. And if there's any particular expenses that you don't agree with, or you feel that you could do without, you know you can cut them out from any future expenses. The fifth thing I do, and it's super important, is to have a monthly meeting with my accountant. So I set one monthly meeting with my accountant. Now, every single Friday, I look at my accounts, but I look at my accounts in anticipation of meeting my accountant. So unless I've prepared notes from my previous week's work and look at maybe comments, maybe questions I need to look at and I need to discuss with my accountant, and have a face-to-face meeting with my accountant to make sure that we have everything clear, we have everything organized, and we have everything set up for the business, then I know that I'm not running myself into any trouble when it comes to paying my taxes, organizing my my social security payments, or maybe looking at any future plans that I have for my business, any future investment plans. So being in advance of situations, being in advance of what's happening in my business, is going to help me be profitable, because I'm literally not looking at the historical side of what's happened in my business. I'm looking at the real-time expenses of my business. I'm looking at my business week on week. I'm checking the figures, I'm checking the stats. I'm managing my accounts, I'm managing my expenses, I'm managing my personal expenses and my personal budget, and it's keeping me in flow, in tune to heading up to having the lifestyle that I want. If I see a week that perhaps something extraordinary has happened, or maybe I see a week that has given me a little bit of a shock, that I'd say, oh my goodness, the stats don't look so well, then it gives me the opportunity to meet with the accountant, chat with the accountant, and plan for perhaps a change of direction for the following month. And that's why it's very important to meet up with your accountant regularly. The sixth and final thing that I do is have a bi-weekly meeting with my beloved John, and we look at our family plan, we look at our family budget, and if there's any particular plans that we've had for the period that we're looking at, then we make sure that we're still en route and we're still on track. So we're looking at what our family income has come in, we'll look at what expenses have gone out, and we'll look on whether we are still on track to allocate a specific amount of money to our vacation, or if we wanted to get a new car or to have another investment in a property, whatever we're looking at. We look at the budgets together, we look at the budgets as a family, and we look at our plans for the future to make sure we're still on track. And it really helps us to pull everything together, because when we have this dream of being huge entrepreneurs, having these businesses that are giving us the lifestyle that we want and the lifestyle that we need, it's not just going to happen like that. It's not going to come from thin air. You have to work at it. You've got to take massive action to be able to live the life that you want. The life that you want isn't just going to come to you. It's not just going to happen to you just like that. So making sure that you're taking these 6 steps and working progressively through your personal life, through your business, making sure that you're understanding your finances, understanding your expenses, understanding maybe where you need to improve yourself, where you improve your performance, where you have to improve your sales. All this is going to help you turn your business around, and it's going to help you turn your personal life around. So many businesses fail every single year, and new businesses, that Pilates teachers having so many beautiful plans, such dreams, such beautiful dreams, and yet they fail to make it through because they're not charging enough. They end up being broke because they end up spending too much money. They have no budget, they have no plan, they're not in charge of their expenses. And by the way, if you want to learn a little bit more about why Pilates teachers then end up being broke, just watch this video over here. It's going to give you a really good insight to that. Managing your money, managing your business expenses, managing your personal expenses is really going to push you above any other competitors in your area. You really need to create the business mindset right from day one, before you even start attracting clients. So getting that business mindset is really going to help you thrive through that planning stage, thrive through that development stage when you're opening your business, and it's going to help you thrive all the way through running your business and building your business and growing your business to the life that you want. I hope this video has been super helpful. If you want to work with me, if you're interested to learn a little bit more about how to run your finances in your business, do reach out to me on admin@anitahorryacademy.com. You can always follow me on Facebook on Anita Horry Academy, or Instagram on AnitaHorry_Academy. Until my next video, goodbye for now.